And welcome everyone to our Intro to Power Automate webcast, automating tasks to save time. So to introduce the host for this webcast, there's going to be two of us. It's going to be myself and Hasika. Hasika is based out of our Bangalore office. She's a BI and analytics consultant, and she's extensive experience working across mainly CPG, pharma, and insurance industries, and on a wide array of technologies that I'll touch on later on in the presentation. And again, similar for me, I'm now based out of our Singapore office. I was previously in our London office, same industries, pharma, CPG, and insurance, and then again, all number of technologies as well. Our contact info there in case there's anything in this webcast that takes your interest and you want to contact us on. Our LinkedIn information there is there as well. Feel free to connect with us if you think the content's interesting, or if you want to ask any more, reach out via LinkedIn. So to give an agenda for the day, it's sort of four main sections. So I'm going to intro Thorogood. We typically do that at the start of our webcasts. Then I'm going to give an overview of Power Automate, the tool, sort of its background and where I see its purpose. And then I'll hand over to Hasika, who's going to give us some demos of Power Automate and let you see the tool in action. And then we'll hand back to me and I'll talk through how you can get started with Power Automate and how we can help you in that process as well. So first of all, Thorogood, who we are. So we're data engineering, data science, and data visualization specialists. We're also independent, which is really key in terms of being able to offer completely unbiased advice to whatever problems that your business is facing that can be solved by analytics and technology. We operate globally, and we offer different types of strategies and solutions. So we do full application design and development, so working for customers, building out a full solution. But not just that, we also work on planning and business modeling, sort of future planning with strategies and roadmaps for companies, a lot of data analytics services and user support. And then what else we do that's really key is user empowerment, training and adoption. So not just building technologies, building solutions out for companies, but also working with people in-house to upskill them so that companies are able to sort of work in these technologies by themselves as well. And that's really where we see our sort of key value is looking at business goals and then being able to bring our expertise from analytics, technology, and our previous business experience together, all focusing back on the sort of business focus and how we can help businesses solve their challenges. And in terms of how we stay on top of the latest technology, we do a lot of partnering and we work with a vast array of technologies. So what's probably of most interest to you at the minute is that we have numerous core competencies with Microsoft. So Power Automate is obviously a Microsoft tool. So it's going to come within the scope of our Microsoft partnership. And so moving away from Thorogood and on to the actual tool itself, in these next slides, I'm just going to give a sort of brief overview of what Power Automate is. So first of all, the tagline that Microsoft uses, work less, do more, which I think is a very short but really good description of what Power Automate is and how it can help you. A bit of background, first of all, you may have been familiar with the previous incarnation of the tool, which was Microsoft Flow. And Power Automate is basically the new and improved version of that. It's also one of the sort of key pillars of Microsoft's Power Platform. And then how did Microsoft describe it on their website? They say Power Automate allows you to include powerful workflow automation directly in your apps with a no-code approach that's going to connect to hundreds of popular apps and services. And I think it's a really good description in sort of one sentence of the value of Power Automate. And that's clearly why they built it. They think that people will use it. So I think it's a good description of where its purpose really lies. But then to sort of break that down into sort of more detailed steps, basically Power Automate is a tool for creating a workflow that's going to be a set of tasks that are typically going to be run sequentially. And the idea is that they're run without any human intervention. And then the beauty about Power Automate is that you're going to be able to create the workflow without writing code at all if you don't want to. You can just use dragging, dropping, clicking, selecting from different drop downs, filling in relevant empty boxes that are sort of the parameters for the different tasks available in the workflow. And basically that's going to build up the workflow without you having any prior knowledge of, say, how to write code, or even very little knowledge of Power Automate, the tool itself, is that you can get started in it right away without having much of an intro. And then basically once you've created that workflow, it can be set off by a trigger. And that trigger can really come in one of three ways, which Hasika is going to describe in much more detail later on, but it could be scheduled. So it could be 4 p.m. every Friday. It could be set off manually, either sort of within the browser itself, within Power Automate itself, or you could use, say, the app to kickstart it from your mobile. And then there's also event-based triggers. So maybe an email arriving in your inbox that can trigger off a workflow with whatever end result you want, whatever the set of tasks are. And as I said before, once it's triggered, the idea is that it's going to run all the tasks end to end without any human intervention and save time. And that's really, again, where I see its purpose. It's similar to what Microsoft says. So I say the purpose of Power Automate is going to be reduce manual effort required by an individual to basically stop them having to do the boring and repetitive tasks themselves every time. And there's going to be obvious benefits to that, which I'll just talk through here, just so everyone's clear. So that individual is going to have more time to tackle non-repetitive tasks. So I was watching The Office recently. My friend always has it on, and so they sell printing paper to local companies. So say they acquire a new customer, and this customer gives them a whole list of information they need to put into their customer database. Say that takes an hour of the salesperson's time. That's an hour wasted, basically. That if you were able to automate the process, the customer fills in an online form or fills in an Excel sheet that can update the customer database automatically, then the salesperson can say, save that hour and actually work on something that's more productive or beneficial to the business, such as more sales calls or even, scouting the customer database itself for dormant leads or anything like that. And basically, so it's about taking time away, reducing the amount of time spent on like business operation tasks and being able to move it towards business development and business growth tasks for the employees of your organization. And then I think another key reason is retention of talent. So articles on Glassdoor and Indeed cite repetitive tasks as some of the top reasons for people actually leaving their roles. So I think it's pretty obvious that if a role is more challenging to an individual, then more likely to stay in it, and you're more likely to retain that individual as well. So it's really key in terms of the fewer repetitive tasks you have going on in your organization, the more challenged your staff are going to be. And inevitably, it's going to be quicker than someone actually doing the steps manually themselves. So if you take my example, say it takes an hour for someone to look at the sheet and put it into their customer database, Power Automate is going to do it automatically, and it's going to be in there straight away. And not only is it going to be quicker, it's going to reduce the human error. So again, if it takes me an hour, quite a boring task, my brain shuts off a little. Maybe there's a typo in the zip code, so it's not going to go to the correct, the paper's not going to go to the correct delivery address. That's a problem that's been caused by human error. Whereas if you'd automated the task, that would have never occurred. Admittedly, you're missing out on the sort of human sense check, but I think there's other ways to get around that, and the benefits of reducing human error outweigh the costs of, reducing that sense check from employees in your organization. And so, as I mentioned earlier, Power Automate is a pillar of the Power Platform. So it's really these four apps: Power BI, which is data visualization; Power Apps, which is sort of easy to make custom apps; Power Automate, which we've discussed; and Power Virtual Agents, which is easy to build chatbots to answer frequent questions. And they're all in this Power Platform because they're all very similar. They connect together really well. But basically, it's about this idea of being able to build really quickly with little experience, because they're all no code or low code at best. So low code at worst, sorry. So for example, in Power BI, I think a lot of people would be familiar with it. You can build out visualizations really quite easily. If you do need to do something a bit more complicated, you can write a little bit of DAX, but the idea is you can get very far without having to write any code or move on to that coding stage at all. And like I said, they all connect really well together, and they're going to connect really well with other Microsoft products. But I don't want to just limit ourselves to that sphere of working completely within Microsoft. If you use tools that aren't Microsoft products, these apps can completely connect to them as well. So Hasika is going to show later on how Power Automate can work with non-Microsoft products such as AWS and Salesforce and Google, that type of thing as well. So don't limit your thinking to just the Microsoft area of Microsoft. And with that, I will hand over to Hasika.
Thanks for the session, Robbie. I will now take over the presentation to give two demos for the Power Automate. And so for starters, I'll just show how to navigate to the Power Automate Flow page. So just go to your favorite browser, type in office.com/apps. This will lead you to the homepage of the office.com. And because I have already logged in using my credentials, it's not giving me the option to choose right now, but you just log into your Office 365 credentials and you can see all the apps that your Office 365 gives. Out of this, you can go to the app launcher, click on it and go to the Power Automate. So once you move on to the Power Automate section, you can see that there are a lot of options, there are some tutorials, and what today I'll be showing is how to create a Power Automate flow, a simple Power Automate flow from scratch. And another demo that I'll be showing is an already created flow and how it is useful for us. So you can either create using your own from scratch, or you can use existing templates as well. So regarding the templates, I'll be showing up the later part of the demo on how different templates are there and you can sort of customize it as well. But for now, I'll start with creating our own flow. So you go to this option, the left-hand section panel, and click on Create. And you can see there are various ways to create the flows. So the first one is the automated cloud flow. That means it's triggered by a designated event. So for example, Robbie had told us about how an event can be triggered by an email coming to your inbox. And the one which we will be trying is when we create a file or upload a file on a OneDrive location. So that is the automated flow that I'll be creating. Then there could be an instant cloud flow. That means that when you want to trigger it manually, so it's a button that can be clicked on an app, or in the second demo that I'll be showing will be based on this, which will be clicking a button on your Power BI report. And the third one is a scheduled cloud flow. That means that you can set up a schedule for it to run whenever you want it to. It can start from it can repeat every minute to every day, every hour, every week, any repetition that you want to. And you can obviously set in the start time, end time. Do you want to create on weekdays, weekends, etc. Then you have desktop flows. So desktop flows, what it does is that it can automate whatever is there on your desktop. If you want to move files, if you want to copy your files, if you want to rename the files, convert files, etc. And then business process flow. So business process flow could be one of those tasks that takes place during your business day-to-day work life, which means that, for example, if you're onboarding a new member and there are a set of tasks that needs to be performed that could be automated, can be done using this business process flow. So for creating the flow that I was talking about, the first demo would be that we will create a new file in the OneDrive location. And what we need it to be automated is that it needs to convert it into a PDF file. And then what it needs to do is that it will send an email to a designated list. So I'll be taking in mine and Robbie's name. And the final step would be that it will go and upload the PDF file into a SharePoint location. So to do that, we'll start from blank, click on automated cloud flow, give the flow name. So I'll just call it demo automation of. And if you see, there are triggers. So we need to tell what kind of trigger that we want to set for this flow. Because we know that we want to create a file on OneDrive, we'll just search for OneDrive. It'll sort of filter down all your options that are related to OneDrive. And if I just scroll down, you can see that there is OneDrive and OneDrive for Business. So ensure that whichever account you're logging into, it could be your personal OneDrive or it could be for OneDrive for Business. Because I'm logging in using my Thorogood credentials, it's OneDrive for Business. I'll just select when a file is created. I click on it. And if you want to understand what are the caveats or any information related to this particular trigger, you can always hover over this information icon and it will give you much more details about what kind of operation this does. And then I'll go to create. Now what this particular setup is doing, that this is sort of a wizard that leads you to this particular step and you just have to click and drop things. So now this is the first task, which is the trigger when a file is created on your OneDrive. Now, because I know that I want to create a trigger for a particular folder, what I'll do is that enter the value for this folder. I'll click on this little folder icon, browse to my OneDrive location. So I need to go into root. I need to click on the Power Automate demo, which I have created for this demo purpose, and click on this demo one. So whenever I upload a new file to the demo one folder, it will automatically sort of trigger this flow. So this is the first step. Then the next step is converting this file. So I'll upload a Word file and it needs to convert into PDF. So what I will do is I'll search for OneDrive again because it's a OneDrive operation. Select the OneDrive for business. And if you can see, there are again multiple actions that we can say. You can delete it, get the file content, you can copy it, convert it. So because our idea is to convert it, we'll click on the convert file. And now we have to enter the file information. Now, either if we know that if the file name is going to be consistent and it's also always going to be same, you can just type in the file name. Or in this case, because I want to convert whatever file is expected, whatever file is uploaded without expecting a particular file name, what I can do is I can dynamically put in the file name. To do that, we need to click on this box where we need to enter the name, and you can see that you can add a lot of dynamic content. You can also make it as an expression, but for now I'm just going to put in the dynamic content. So the first point is the file identifier, which uniquely identifies the file, which is what I want in this situation. So I just click on it, and if I look at my target type, it is PDF. I have the options to choose between others as well, but for now I just want the PDF one, so I'll just click on it. So now what this task is doing, that it's converting your file into PDF, but we still have to send it to a list of participants, and also we need to upload it to SharePoint. So those are the next two steps that I'll be performing. So the next step would be an email that I want to send. So I'll just type in Outlook, like the Office 365 Outlook. And I want to send an email. So again, there are a bunch of actions that you can do, and here I'll be selecting the send an email. Specify the two addresses. So I'll send it to Robbie. I will send it to myself. And here is the point where you can send to a lot of people, or you can send to a distribution list. And you can specify the subject. So I'll just say that demo 1, PDF attachment, and just say it's been loaded, converted, and attached. Now I have various options which I can use. So I can go to advanced option. There are so many other options that you can explore. You can send it as a particular person. If you don't want to send it from your private email, you can put people in CC, you can put people in BCC, you can put attachments. So that's what we are going to do. You can specify an attachment name, and either you can sort of put in the name of the file, or in this case, I don't want the name to be particular name, and I want the name that is being picked up from the OneDrive. So I'll just click on it, put in the dynamic content as the file name, and the attachment contain again from the file content from the dynamic. So whatever is being converted here sort of comes here. And my last step would be uploading into SharePoint. Search for SharePoint, click on SharePoint, and I'll just say create file because I want to create this file at a particular site. I'll go to drop down because I'm part of so many SharePoint lists, so many will come up. I am just going to click on the Power Automate demo that I've created for this purpose, and to the path where I want this to be uploaded, I'll click on demo 1. File name, again, I don't want the file name to be restricted, making it dynamic as I did before, and just saving it. So now your first flow, a very simple 4-step flow is created. And the first thing that I would be doing is flow checker. So this is an inbuilt tool that Power Automate provides that checks your flow if everything is as expected, you're not missing out anything. And I'll just click it. I can see that there are 0 warnings and 0 errors. Just close it. And then you have the option to test it. So this is a manual test that you can do before making it live. And what I'll do is that click on a manual test and click on test. So what it's saying that if you see this information pop-up that came up, it says that to see it work, add a file to the OneDrive folder you selected. I'll go to the OneDrive folder so I already have 2 documents. What I'll do is that I have my sample file ready. I'll just put it and drag it here. So if you see, I've just uploaded the sample file 3. It says modified a few seconds ago. I'll go back to my flow and it says that your flow is running. And if you can see, it took that the flow has already been succeeded and all the 4 steps have the green symbol next to it. That means that it actually took 6 plus 1 plus 1, which is just 9 seconds for the whole thing to convert. And if you actually had to do this again and again every day, it would have easily taken you so many minutes to find the list of people, to find the files, to open the website and everything. So let us see if it actually came through. I'll go to the SharePoint location and automate demo 1. Just refresh it. If you see, the sample file 3 has been created about a minute ago. And I have also actually gotten the email to show it to you. This is the subject, this is the file with Robbie, Hasika, and it's 1:54 in India, and that's when it has come up now. And this is how you can create your flow. And now if you want to access this flow, what you can do is that you can go back to your Power Automate flow. You can go to My Flows and you can see that it is now present under the Cloud Flows section of it. If you share it with other people, you can click on the share button and you can share it with other people as well. And what it does is that, I'll just go back and go to the, what it does is that it moves this particular flow with the shared with me section. So this is how you can create flows and you can share it with other people. Now seems a very good segue where I can move on to demo 2, which I have already shared with Robbie, and this is where it's present. So what is the demo 2 is that I want to focus on how Power BI can be linked with Power Automate and how seamless it is. And what we want to do is that there are a lot of cases where we have created a Power BI report, published to our workspace, and if we want to sort of refresh the data, the underlying data, we have to again bring it to our desktop, refresh it, and then publish it again. But we want to do it completely automated and from the server itself. So what I've done is that I have created a Power BI report. Let me bring up my Power BI report. It's a very basic, simple Power BI report, and I've gotten the sample data off the internet to show this. And what I've done is that I have created basic visualizations and I have put in this button for Power Automate. So Power Automate visual is something that came up very recently and it's still in the preview mode, but you can still explore it. And what Power Automate visual does is that it gives you the ability to connect your Power BI report to your Power Automate flow. And it sort of gets triggered only when you click on this particular button. So what I have done in this particular report is that I have linked this particular button with my Power Automate flow that I have already created, and it sort of does the refresh of the data set. How you can do it is that, let me bring in a new tab. Under your visualizations panel, there is this Power Automate for Power BI button. You can click on it and it gives you a new visual. Now what you can do is that you can follow the steps. Either you can create your flow here or you can link your flow directly. So let me go to the flow that I've already created. Click on edit. So this is a 3-step Power Automate flow that I have created, which is very basic, very simple. And the first step is that when the Power BI button is clicked, and we have seen how this button is placed in our Power BI report. And the second step is refreshing the data set. And after this, let me click on it. So we can enter the details of the workspace and the data set. For now, I have jotted down my workspace and the data set, but otherwise you can also make this as well dynamic. Then what I'm doing is that I want to post a message in a particular group that my Power BI has been refreshed at a particular timestamp. So I have created a Teams action and I have given a team, the channel, and a message. And what I've done is that I have taken the timestamp coming from this and put it here so that the users know, or whoever is looking at knows that, okay, this Power BI refresh has been triggered at a particular time. So let me go to my Power BI app. So you can see that this I have refreshed it early morning, 6 a.m. and the total number of records is 5,000. And what I'll now do is go to my source, which is my SharePoint folder, upload a sample file with 100 records. I have it handy here. It's replacing the source. It says modified a couple of seconds ago. And now I'll go to my Power Automate Power BI, click on it. And if you can see it says triggered and triggering. Now we can go back to our flow. Let's check if this flow has been triggered. Let's go to shared with me, click on the ellipsis, go to the run history. And you can see that August 12, 1:59 p.m. and it has 0 seconds ago. That means it got triggered immediately and the status is succeeded. That means the trigger has come through. Now let's go to the report, go to the workspace, and let's see if we see that the data set is refreshing. While the data set is refreshing, it'll take a minute or so. I will get in my Teams channel and show you that how the data set, the message has come through. So if you can see that this is the latest message that came through, it says 1:59 p.m. Power BI refresh triggered at this particular date, which is 12th August, and it gives you the time in the UTC time zone. Let's give it a second for the refresh to get completed. The report would have refreshed with the total number of records being 100 and the refresh date would have been updated. The last try, see if it has completed. Yeah, it has just completed. Let me refresh my Power BI visuals. Yes, and you can see that the refresh date has now changed to 8:31 a.m. whereas earlier it was 6 a.m. and the total number of records have been also updated. So this brings me to the end of my demo too, and I just quickly wanted to show you how templates work and how we can create power flows, automate flows from the templates. So there are so many templates that you can choose from, and you can sort of add more things, customize in your templates. It doesn't need to be specifically about whatever they ask you to do. So bunch of templates to choose from, and also because I have showed a lot of Microsoft related flows here, what I just wanted to ensure that like you can also have various connectors to other things as well, especially with, let's say, Amazon. It gives you a bunch of options and a bunch of actions that you can do. Then you have integration with Salesforce as well. So again, you can link your Salesforce and create a lot of actions out of that. So yeah, that's it from me, and I will pass on to Robbie now.
Thanks for those demos. So now we've got an idea of how this works with the demo, and we've had the overview as well from me earlier. Let me move on to how we can help you get started. So first of all, I would say the best thing you can do to gain familiarity with the tool and all its capabilities is to sample the functionality yourself. So as Hasika showed, go to office.com /apps, and you should be able to see it right there. I think there's multiple ways to access Power Automate. So if you have Office 365, I think there's also a free trial as well. So whatever way, you should find some way to use Power Automate, no matter what your situation is. And then as well, feel free to reach out to me, Hasika, or really any of our Thorogood colleagues if you're familiar with them from previous engagements or anything like that. Reach out to us at any time. We'd be more than happy to discuss the ideas you have, whether they're feasible, what sort of benefits they have. We can also help you identify use cases. If you think this is a cool tool, but I don't quite know where I can use it to benefit me, we can help with that. And then we could also work towards working with you or for you to sort of provide a demo to prove the value of Power Automate to maybe others in your organization. And then I think as well, where we can offer advice is understanding the role Power Automate can play within wider data architecture of your company and sort of the wider technological processes, whether they're involving Microsoft technologies or not. We have a good idea of all of these technologies and where Power Automate can fit in, or maybe where it's not even needed, you just aren't fully using the capability of a tool you already have. We can help with all of that as well. And yes, those are my contact details if you do want to contact me around any of that or anything we've discussed today. Thank you. There's my email up for one final time in case you haven't got it by now. Do please get in contact if you have any questions.